So I'm speaking with one of the most iconic director-composer duos working in the film industry today. Nicolas Refn and Cliff Martinez are on their third feature film together with The Neon Demon after doing Only God Forgives and Drive together. Both of them are regarded as top auteurs in their professions. And guys, thanks so much for making time to chat today. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Our pleasure.
So before we discuss Neon Demon, I would love to know, going back to the first time you two met, well, what led to you two working together, and what were your kind of first impressions of each other when you first met for the first time?
Well, it's hard to give away that secret because it was just about, I think, an instinctual approach. You know, we met on Drive, and lucky we were able to make it work together. And that was like just started as a one-off, and then afterwards, because it was such a quick experience, it was only 5 weeks, it was like, how was it for you, and was it good, and it was good for me, and you want to do another one? And Cliff was like, yeah, sure. And then from that on, we just really started working together. And now he knows the family, having worked with my wife. You know, there's a much more family orientation. You know that it's not just something to do with me; it's something to do with everyone. And when something works, you don't question it; you just go do it.
And Cliff, what was your kind of impression of Nick when you first met him? Was he someone that you knew that you immediately like, okay, this is a director I can work with?
Yeah, I think I got to know Nicolas as a filmmaker quickly because one of the first things we did, we had sushi, and then we watched a really advanced cut of Drive, which was it was a locked picture. It was, aside from music and sound, it was a finished film. And I didn't know. After that, I went and watched Nicolas's movies, but I knew very little about his work. And I saw Drive and was just absolutely flabbergasted. And I just said, sign me up. This is a great film. I really want to do it. So, yeah, my first impression was quite favorable. But I guess I got to know him as a filmmaker first, and as a human a little bit further down the road.
Right. So you guys met, obviously something clicked, and now on Neon Demon, obviously, Cliff, you're going to do the film. So when Nicolas reached out to you and said, hey, I got this film, Neon Demon, how early in the production process do you start working in? Nicolas, how early do you want music to be part of your process as well?
Well, I listen to a lot of music, generally. I listen to a lot of music, on a kind of creative level. It helps me work. And so Cliff and I would, in the beginning of the process, just talk about what kind of genre music could be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it pop, disco, rock, classical, country and western? And we've kind of been through some various genres, because, Only God Forgives was very much a country and western inspiration, and Cliff even introduced me to a form of Thai country and western. On Neon Demon, it was very, we really talked about the late disco sound, and then I listened to a lot of that kind of music, but it's not really until we meet in the editorial room that we start to really zone in, I think.
And are you more of a kind of hands-on director with Cliff when it comes to him working? Are you giving him constant notes? Or Cliff, do you kind of are you let to go kind of do your own thing and come out with your creation and go, all right, what do you think? Or are you kind of all kind of in sync with each other throughout the whole process?
Well, I'm very much a complete hands-off, especially in the beginning. Then maybe when there's something specific to
When you
relate to.
when you screw up, he becomes very hands-on.
But you don't screw up, so it's a very easy process.
I think the evolution of our creative partnership is probably getting increasingly hands-offer.
Mm-hmm.
I think Drive, I mean, maybe hands-on sounds a little weird, but we talked almost every night on Skype. Nicolas was in Copenhagen, I was in LA. And it seems like the conversations became sparser through Only God Forgives and sparser through Neon Demon. And now we communicate solely through mental telepathy.
Yeah.
But Nicolas, do you temp your films for Cliff, or are they completely void of anything when you give him his first cut to work with?
No, I luckily Cliff encourages temp music.
Oh, okay.
And I use the temp more as an in and out of when to emotionally connect the pieces together. But it's not a musical reference.
Mm-hmm.
It's just on Neon Demon we used a lot of Bernard Herrmann to kind of define the picture emotionally.
Right.
And from then it's kind of Cliff's own creation from then on.
So Cliff, if you encourage the temp for you, what does that do for you as in your process? Do you enjoy seeing, I guess, does it help you get into the mind of Nicolas and what he's going for, what he's expecting? But I mean, I guess it helps you in your process instead of trying to tell you what to do?
Yeah, I mean, I think, amongst composers, the practice of temp scoring is controversial. Some people feel that it kind of hems them in creatively. I think it's a pretty useful tool. And I really love a mediocre temp score. There's nothing more intimidating than like a really great temp score, and there's nothing more misleading than a shitty one. So I think it's a pretty good starting point. I mean, more than anything, I think it tells me where the music starts, where it stops. It gives some structure with the music for the film. I think that's important. It's also a basis for discussing the music, because music's a kind of a hard thing to talk about. If you tell me you want, director says, I want something that's brown, slinky, and heroic, I really don't know what that means. But you put some Bernard Herrmann in there, that's it. That's brown to me.
So, I mean, just kind of looking at the film and the impression it's getting, a lot of people, Nicolas, your vision is very unique to your own, but a lot of people, when they try to describe it, they throw around names like Kubrick and Lynch and for the music, maybe a little Wendy Carlos come to mind. Do you, either of you, draw inspiration from past storytellers that, or do you really kind of, it's more along the lines of trying to create an unfiltered voice that is truly your own?
Let me let you in on a little secret. Everyone steals. That. Just like the people you mentioned stole before me.
Right.
And if they didn't admit it, they're lying. And then, that's just the reality. Art cannibalizes on itself.
Absolutely.
I know that by now.
No, I agree with you completely. I think one of the best, I was talking to someone and he says, we're all like sponges. We're just absorbing everything that influences and kind of regurgitating it out in our voice. I truly believe that, yeah.
In defense of my originality or lack of it, I got to say that Nicolas, I mean, I usually freely fall in love with some chunk of temp music in every temp score, and I will shamelessly, emulate it. But Nicolas really threw a real curveball with the top to bottom temp score of Bernard Herrmann, because I knew it was not going to be a 50s orchestral sounding score. So I think I felt like there was a higher level of not falling in love with, not role modeling anything in Neon Demon more so than other films.
Right. And I think I talked to you about this briefly on Drive a little bit, but do Nicholas's visuals, his, I mean, he has such iconic visuals. The color palettes in his films are so vivid and so important to the story. I mean, do those have any effect on the way you create your sound palettes and your kind of electronic textures, or is that kind of like, what exactly are you, I guess, scoring? If you're taking the picture, what in the picture is your music kind of speaking to?
I think the visuals had a big impact because I always think of Nicholas as kind of like exploding.
Mm-hmm.
The images are kind of like bombastic and flamboyant, and I did want to reflect that in the score to be kind of like loud,
Right.
loud in terms of like a loud shirt. I wanted it to be also flamboyant and bombastic. There was one thing that was an interesting, like creative synchronicity that I wanted to create the musical equivalent of something that sparkled.
Wow.
And it wasn't until I saw the opening credit sequence later that I actually saw what I was, the musical sound I was hearing in my head to complement like something that was visual.
Wow.
And so that was kind of a weird thing. And that's, I think the more we work together, there'll be more of those psychic moments.
Well, to wrap up, I would love to ask you this question because I consider you both amazing auteurs, as a director for you, Nicholas, and as a composer for you, Cliff, respectively. So when someone says auteur filmmaker, what does that mean in 2016 today? I feel like we're living in a time where producers are kind of back in the creative seat. All the film funding is focused on tentpoles and franchises. Is it easy and creatively rewarding to be kind of this edgy auteur creative storyteller in 2016?
It's not just rewarding, it's the fucking best.
Yes.
Because whatever we do, whether you like it or not, it's singular, unapologetic, and completely uncompromising. And that's the only thing that can never be taken away from it.
Beautiful.
And to basically wake up every morning and control your destiny is a wonderful experience. And it may not be for everyone, but art wasn't created to be nice.
Absolutely. Well, Cliff, is that the same thing you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also like a question of like surviving the business too. I've always believed that you are competitive in the marketplace by being unique, and rather than trying to be a versatile or be a jack of all trades, you will succeed by being an original. As much as I steal from other people, I always try to mask it in a way that is perceived as being original. So I like to think that if you want that Nicholas kind of film, if you want that Cliff kind of musical sound, there's only one person to come to get that. And I think that's what makes us
A brilliant duo.
competitive. That's what makes us competitive.
Well, guys, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. I love your work together. And, Cliff, I think the score is like one of the best you've ever done. I mean, I absolutely, truly loved it. And I will see you guys in Amoeba. So have a fun rest of your press tour. But thanks so much for making time today.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.